What's going on YouTube? JT is Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about DC Universe Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods, issue number 1. That's right, this thing is titled Lazarus Planet, which did end, but I guess we're still going. Why they titled this Lazarus Planet and not just announced it as some other event is beyond me, because, I mean, this is kind of dealing a little bit with the after effects of it. I mean, with the Lazarus rainstorm and all that other stuff that kind of went down. A lot of people got powers, people changed. And I also want to stress that I have not really been reading Wonder Woman. So in terms of a lot of the plot and story, I'm sure there's a lot of setup in that I'm not getting, which I'm sure would add to the effectiveness of the story. Because like I said, I have not been reading Wonder Woman. So there's a lot of characters who show up in this thing and like their place within the story, which I don't exactly 100% know where all it's going on. So as somebody who hasn't been reading it, you're kind of dropped in the middle of some stuff, and I'm just kind of guessing in some ways things that are going on. So my opinion is based on somebody who's coming into this strictly as the event, Lazarus Planet, and just trying to pick up on a few things. So maybe if you've been reading it, your opinion will be different. I have personally not been reading Wonder Woman as of late, so I'm a little behind on all that stuff, but I may go ahead and go back and reread the run at some point too. So I got the DC Universe app now, the Infinite one, so I can it's everything up to a month prior, and I'm currently like starting at like Flash Rebirth and gonna power through that. I caught up on all Superman stuff, caught up on all this other stuff like Catwoman, Harley Quinn, all the Batman related titles I've read, and now I'm gonna like try and go and read the other DC titles and try and play catch up, because it's a lot to catch up with. So but anyways, let's go ahead and quickly summarize the plot of this thing. So this is the fallout of it. Basically all the different gods and the whole DC universe say, well, we don't really see the new gods or any of the stuff from Apocalypse. A lot of people have gotten powers. Various gods in that are kind of ticked off in it, and they want the mortals to fear them because their power is based on like people worshiping them and all sorts of other things. But yeah, so basically a lot of stuff's going on. We see Zeus is dead there. We see the wizard Shazam, which if you remember was his whole thing was back in Lazarus Planet. We once were gods, and his storyline set up where the Lazarus rain affected him. And then we have Zeus pretty much dead right there. And then, what is that? Hera, Great Hera, if you will. Various members of the Amazons. So you have Yara Flor, Wonder Woman. I think I'm trying to blank on who that is off the top of my head, so I apologize. Is that Cheetah or something? It doesn't quite say. Like I said, I have not been reading Wonder Woman, so I don't know everyone's name off the top of my head, so I apologize for that. But basically they're talking about how the gods are so dangerous they can't really stop them or whatever, even though the Justice League just took on everything in Dark Crisis. So, I mean, are you really that scared of the gods of Olympus? Yes, they are definitely a threat, but I feel like the Justice League could handle this situation. And Wonder Woman's like, okay, we're caught in a predicament. Let me go ahead and have a little chit chat with them, and I'll see if I can solve this diplomatically. And of course Wonder Woman gets caught up in a situation where basically she's like, hey, guess what, if the gods die, or like Hera or whatever reveals to her, hey, if the gods die, the Amazons die, because we're all linked to the same magic or whatever. So she's caught up with a little bit of a choice, and then she's like, do I become this, do I become and then she's kind of tricked into becoming, like, reaching her own little bit of godhood, if you will. And yeah, so Wonder Woman ascends, and it's going to be continued next week in Wonder Woman 797. And then in the backup storyline, a couple of guys just wash up on the shores of Themyscira. And of course, just the idea of men showing up on this island is just the most horrible thing in existence, even though men have shown up on Themyscira before. I mean, Steve Trevor, anyone. In the past, but apparently this is just way too much. You just can't have that. It's the most horrible thing in existence, because they have I don't know, like I feel like at this point the Amazonians should probably have, like, chilled out a little bit on that. I mean, because you had the Greek gods and all that have been there before. I don't know. It's just their whole society, which, they preach their moral superiority and all that, but, just the thought of a guy showing up is just the worst thing in the world. Then they have a talk about it. We have Nubia and a few other characters there, but some other random dude kind of shows up and kind of kills them before things get more out of hand. I guess he's another god or so, and it sets things up for the next issue. And again, this is Becky Cloonan and Michael W. Conrad, who wrote the other issue, which was Back Rose, which I actually read too. So yeah, There's some intriguing stuff. There's an interesting dilemma for Wonder Woman and her whole situation where she's caught between, okay, protecting the Amazons or a man's world. So it's like no matter what decision she feels she makes, things are going to end up in a pretty bad predicament. So she leaves, which, also, this is the villain here. I mean, Diana should be a little bit smarter than this and kind of see through the nonsense that's going on here. And she ends up getting caught in this situation where she, I guess, ascends into godhood, which is going to make her vulnerable to the whole thing of people's prayers and all that, I suppose. But yeah, so the gods are going to unleash their war against humanity, and this is going to continue in the next, couple issues. I think it's going to go until next month, and then we'll officially be out of the whole Lazarus Planet situation. I don't know why we're calling this Lazarus Planet. When Lazarus Planet ended, you could have just titled this something else. I guess this is a means for people who read Lazarus Planet. Well, I mean, this is kind of the epilogue, so if you want to know a little bit more stuff that's going on there. Shazam makes a brief cameo in this thing, too. I guess he's going to play a larger role in subsequent issues in that, so we'll see how that turns out. I'm a little intrigued by a lot of the stuff that's kind of happening in this thing. There's a few questionable decisions there, and again, I'm somebody who has not been reading Wonder Woman or really any of the Amazonian stuff. I didn't read Trial of the Amazon, so I'm a little out of the loop in those stories, so I may go back and read some of that stuff when I finish catching up on Flash and that, because like I said, I really enjoyed reading like what I have been so far of the Flash, so, and then after that I might just go ahead and go into reading Wonder Woman, but there's so many issues to kind of catch up on, so it's going to take a minute. But yeah, so I mean, there's some intrigue in this thing, some stuff, again, since I've not really been all in tune with the whole Wonder Woman mythos at this current time, it seems a little bit fresher for me. It's like, okay, we're going to be tackling something a little bit different, because I've been reading so much damn Batman and Bat Family stuff for so long, and even Superman stuff. It's like, okay, you know what, I haven't read Wonder Woman stuff in a while. Maybe this will seem interesting to me. So that's kind of where I'm at with this thing. Do I really think it's necessary that we call this thing Lazarus Planet? No, I don't think so at all. That storyline ended in Batman vs. Robin #5. Why are we still, or even Monkey Prince, like, why are we still titling this Lazarus Planet? I guess it's just so more people can read more of the event, which is pretty much over at this point. So if you're still calling this Lazarus Planet, then it should tie more into the start of the event and have characters from that show up in this more often. But I don't know, DC's just strange. Like, why are we having like this event continue? You could have just titled it something else. You could have just called it Revenge of the Gods as an event, and it would have been fine. But no, we got to slap the Lazarus Planet name on there, even though that storyline is done, even though description, the issue's like, yeah, Lazarus Planet, it's done and all that. So there you go. What are you going to do? But anyways, those are my quick thoughts on DC Universe Lazarus Planet Revenge of the Gods #1. I thought it was kind of interesting in some ways. Nothing all that great or special. And again, I'm tackling this from a perspective of somebody who has not been reading Wonder Woman. So maybe my thoughts would be different. I've read more of it and been more invested in the story leading up to it. So like I said, that's my thoughts on it. I'm going into this thing from a different perspective. I'm just reading it as part of the event. So my mindset's a little bit different in what I'm expecting. But if somebody hasn't been reading it, it's kind of interesting, but there's also kind of some goofy, ridiculous stuff. Artwork is fine in both this and the backup, though, by the way, so I just wanted to mention that. But anyways, if you have any thoughts on this issue, let me know in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more content. I got more stuff coming up. I'm going to be talking about Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I may see that tonight, or I may see that Friday or Saturday. I don't know. It all depends on my schedule, so look forward to all that stuff. All right, well, that's all I got to say. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.